Welcome! In this series of short videos, we will look at topics for the PowerBasic Windows compiler. Today we will look at methods for controlling application exits. Today we're going to be looking at the methods for controlling the exit from a PowerBasic Windows application. What we have on screen here is a very simple dialog. There are only two controls on the dialog, an exit button and a next button. We're not going to be looking at the next button. It would probably be used within your application to move on to an additional form. What we're going to concentrate on is exiting the application. Therefore, we have an exit button on the form. If we have a look at the form itself, we will see in the dialog properties we have the caption, the sys menu and the minimize box all ticked. In addition, we have the DS Center option ticked. The center option will center your dialog on the center of your screen automatically. The caption, sys menu and minimize box are used to control the X at the top of your dialog, the ability to minimize your dialog, which we can see by going into test. We have a minimize gadget, and additionally we're going to put an icon on the dialog itself, which will also allow us to click on that icon and close down the dialog. In your application, if a user clicks on the exit button, they may do so inadvertently. So it's quite good in most applications to capture that event and ask a user if they really did mean to exit the application. So let's have a look at the code to see how we could do that. If we hit the F2 and have a look at our code, we have three functions within this application at the moment. The pbMain function, which is the first function to be executed when the application loads. We have a showDialogMain function and a showDialogMainProc function. This last function is a callback function. This is the event handler of the dialog. Let's open that one up. We'll see in here there is a WM command event. This is the area in the callback function that handles when objects are clicked upon. There are two events in here, one for button next and one for ID abort. The ID abort is what happens when the user clicks on the exit button. In here we have a test to see if the button has been clicked upon. If so, we're calling the dialog end command. Here it's taking a single parameter. This is the callback handle, CB handle. This is the number for the dialog. And when this command is called, it will end the dialog and return control to the calling function. This is the calling function, the showDialogMain. After the dialog show command, it will wait for events to happen on the dialog, triggered by the callback function. When the callback function triggers a close of the dialog, then it will return a value, in this case a long, and it will be returned to its calling function. And its calling function is the pbMain function. It will move on to the next line of code, which is to end the pbMain function, and since this is the last operating function in the dialog, the application will terminate. So as I said, we want to ask the user if they are sure they wish to exit the application before the application terminates. We'll do this within the callback function itself. Immediately prior to the dialog end command, we want to use the messagebox function. The messagebox command can be executed either as a statement or as a function. We want to execute it as a function as we want some value coming back out of it to tell us what the user has actually clicked on. So there are three pieces of information we need to pass the messagebox. So we've added some code in the event that picks up when the user has clicked on the exit button. We're using the messagebox function to ask the user, are you sure you wish to exit the application? We're then giving it three constants. Yes or no, because we want a yes and a no button on the message box. We have task modal, which means the user must click on yes or no. If they attempt to click on something else other than the message box, then the application will do nothing. The final icon is icon question. as we wish to put a question mark on the message box dialog. The title of the message box is going to be Exiting Application. And as the message box is a function, we can test the value to see if the user has clicked yes or no. So we're testing here to see if the user's clicked on no. If that's the case, then we can set the function equal to 1 and exit the function right away. If the user has clicked yes, then this line of code will be executed. This will end the dialog, return control to the PB main, and the application will end. So let's try the code as it is and see how it performs. There is our application. There is no code underneath the next button, but we do have code under the exit button. If we click on it, we're getting the message box coming up, saying are you sure you wish to exit the app, with a yes or a no. If we click outside the message box, the application will do nothing. If we say no, we do not wish to exit the app, it will return control to the dialog. If we try it again, and this time click on yes, the application will end. However, that's not all we need to do to control exits from this application. If we run the application once more, you'll see we also have an X at the top right hand corner of the dialog. If we click that, the application will end instantly. Also, if we run the application again, go down to the taskbar, click on the taskbar with a right click, and click to close the window. This will also close the application. So this is not being picked up by the code we've already put in. So there's a wee bit more code we have to put in to handle these extra conditions. Additionally, I want to put an icon on the dialog itself. So at the beginning of our application, I'm going to put a resource icon command in. This is going to load a single icon called add. And in the dialog definition, we're going to add a single line of code in to add this icon to the dialog. If we run the application now, we'll see that our dialog now has an icon. If we right click on that icon, there is also a close function, and there is a keyboard shortcut of Alt F4. If we click on that, it will also end the application. So we need to tackle that as well. If you don't want the user clicking on either the system menu, which we've just used, or the X widget at the top of the screen, there is one command you can actually add to your application. This is the dialog stabilize command. Having added that to our code, if we run our code now, you will see that the X at the top right hand corner is now greyed out. And if we attempt to click on the system menu, the close is also greyed out. So this stops the user clicking on these. If we go down to the taskbar, right click and close the window, it will also not allow the user to close. So if you need a very simple method of actually stopping the user using these three ways of actually terminating your application, you can put this single line of code in. However, there may be times when you don't want to do that. So let's comment this out for a moment and add some extra code to our event handler. We're going to add a new event in here, a system command event. This will pick up when the user clicks on the dialog's X widget or if they click on the system menu. And we'll put exactly the same piece of code in here to test on our message box. We'll prompt the user to say if they want to exit the application or not. So the top part of this is exactly the same as we did before. We're using the message box as a function and we're giving the user a yes or no option. We're making it task modal, we're putting a question mark on the dialog, and we're titling it Exit Application with a question mark. And if the user picks the no option, then we exit the function straight away. If the user has answered yes, then we're effectively posting a quit message back to Windows to allow us to exit the application. So let's compile that and try our code. So our X is visible at the top, and we also have the close option. If we click on the close option, it does trigger our message box. And if we click on the X, it will also trigger our message box. And we'll only exit the application if the user clicks yes. From the taskbar, if we click on Close Window, it will again trigger the same message box, and only when the user does pick yes will the application end. So what we've done today is we've programmatically captured the events that would trigger the closure of our primary dialog. This can be used as a reminder to the user that they're about to exit our application. It can also be used for you to check to see whether everything the user has actually done has been saved. Perhaps on the dialog there is data that has yet to be saved back to a system or a database. If that's the case, then you can check that before the message box command, and you can give the user a warning that there is unsaved data. Are they sure they wish to exit the application? Hopefully you'll find this code useful in your applications, but that's it for today. Thank you for watching.